Hello everyone, my name's James, and I just wanted to talk about why I do these videos for a second before I get into anything. I'm on a journey towards the full realization of my own inner truth, discovering ways to come into harmony with my true expression. And as I go along that journey, I feel like it's my gift to the world to share those discoveries with everyone, so that together we can create a more peaceful, authentic world. And also, just frankly, like, we need community right now, you know, like people that are on the path of truth, the path of discovering themselves, of being genuine. And so I intend to put things together to make that a reality and to connect with you guys that find this stuff interesting. With all that stuff being said, I just created my Patreon today for the first time, and it's a little bit kind of intimidating thing, but if any of you guys find these videos entertaining or informative or whatever, even just donating like $1 is super appreciated. This is a new thing for me, and I put a lot of time into these videos, so anything is appreciated, or at least just like and subscribe, leave a comment. And with all that being said, I called this video How to Free Yourself by Letting Go of Who You Think You Are. And you know, I guess the first question is, why do we need to know who we are? And I think we all have this need for, or I know we all have this need for connection and community and relationships with one another. And we're all trying to figure out how we fit into this world so that we can figure out who we relate to, who we can be in communion with. How do you suppose you think who you are? I'm going to ask that again. How do you suppose you think who you are? I'm going to give a few different examples of how we do this, and then also kind of break apart the different examples and show how they actually lead to disharmony and that sort of thing. And so the first example is that we think of who we are in the sense that we remember the events of our life arranged in a story. Like, you know, we grow up watching movies and we see dramas and things like that, and we categorize the events that happen in our life, and we become a character in our life. That's one way that we think who we are. We become that character. And a lot of times through that process we identify mostly with our adversities and our challenges and our pain. And what ends up happening when we do that is, number one, you know, your unique points of awareness that you are experiencing, it's easy to create stories of, oh, you'll never understand and you can't relate because you don't know what I've been through and whatever. And no one has been exactly through what you've been through, particular to you being in your body in this state of time. So that in itself creates disharmony. It creates the lack of the opposite of community, of togetherness, of harmony. And then also it becomes this thing which, over time, you know, I've realized in my life that it's gotten to a point where the story has gotten so long that there's only maybe 2 or 3 people in my life that have known me long enough to understand the story of my life. So if that's where I get my sense of who I am, then eventually that's going to become so long that it's going to be hard to find anybody that I can convey this to that's going to understand my entire life story, and that takes so much time. And eventually it just gets to a point where it's so long you can't even, you know, you end up kind of just alone. Nobody can relate. Another way that we think who we are is our occupation title. I remember when I was in 4th grade and there was this class, we went into this room and there was like a list of 20 things that you could be when you grow up. You know, like chemist, attorney, police officer, etc., etc., etc. Things go on and on and on. And I remember just having this sense of like, really? Like that's all I'm here for, is just for that? And it kind of becomes one of those things where it's like, I am a fisherman because and my father before me was a fisherman, and his father before him. And it turns into one of these things where it's like, I'm a yellow duck and you're a yellow duck, so we belong to the yellow duck tribe, but we're not a part of the red duck or the blue duck. So we gotta stay separate. And I have this quote from Alan Watts that I want to share that it's really awesome. He says, "Why do you go to school? The trouble is that the schools have got the wrong idea. They give people honors for learning, and the reward for studying French should be the ability to speak French and enjoy reading French and having fun with French people. When you get a degree for it, the degree becomes the point in a game of one-upmanship. And of course, one-upmanship is the main business of the educational community today." And so even that in itself is just an example of how it creates disharmony and within yourself and within other people. Because it's this ego game of comparing again. Of, oh, I work harder than this person gets paid more than me, blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. And I could go on and on and on giving examples for these sort of things. I'll give one more, which would be like a social clique or a religious group. And even within the religion of Christianity, look at how many different sects of that religion there are. Catholic, Lutheran, Methodist, Presbyterian, Evangelical, Free, so on and so forth. Isn't the message like love your neighbor as yourself? Isn't that like the most important thing? But see how they're so segregated, even amongst one religion is segregated. It's disharmony. And so these social groups or religious groups within the societal matrix tell you what to think, how to feel, what to wear, what's socially acceptable, so on and so forth. Hey guys, I just want to mention something I forgot that I think is pretty important regarding the whole person we think we are and that sort of thing with whatever it is. Like I was saying, a lot of these roles that we play are something that's kind of pressured on us by society, by school, by our parents, by religious institutions, or whatever it is. And there's this saying that most people have heard, which is blood is thicker than water. And the actual full saying goes, blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. And that means that the bonds that you create with people that supports you on your life path, that provide love for you in the sense that they provide space for you to be yourself, to spontaneously express yourself without judgment, those are stronger bonds than even family ties. Not that, you can't have both, Anyway, thought that was relevant. I wanted to share that. So hopefully at this point I can paint a picture, and I always think of the Matrix, where they go into the Matrix and they have these crazy outfits on and super nice sunglasses and stuff, and they look all pimp and stuff. And then when they go back into the, when they're out of the Matrix, they're wearing rags. But that's the real world. That's the real reality, is when they're on the ship wearing the rags. And they go into the Matrix and they have this, this facade. And that's the message that I'm trying to convey with this whole thing, is that it is the facade that we put on when we go out into the world, when we go out into the social matrix, that is inauthentic, because it is fitting our expression into a mold that society has for us, according to what's okay, how it's okay to act and feel and express yourself and that sort of thing. I'm not saying there's not value to, taking care of yourself, dressing nice, making a good first appearance. Obviously, if you go to a really nice party and you're trying to meet new people and you've got like poop all over you and you smell bad, it's probably going to be hard to make connections. So obviously, within boundaries, that has its purpose, in this world that we live in this modern world. However, it is kind of funny. I can't help but ask myself the question, why it's so taboo to be, for the most part, to be like naked. Everybody's like hiding in their clothes. Like, I get the aspect of style and fashion and all that sort of thing. However, we've gotten to this point where it's such a taboo for that There's such these insecurities people have in their bodies because we identify with the body because we think we are the body. But just as many people have said before me, I'm here to tell you that you are not your body. Your body is a part of nature. It is the vessel through which you are experiencing this earth. And when you die, it will decay and become fertilizer for the earth. And because the miracle of being is beyond the person. And being is one of those words that people throw in this new agey kind of language that, you know, might be open to a lot of interpretations. So for this particular video, what I mean when I say being is the gateway for the spring of spontaneous expression. The main artery through which that expression flows, and also the witness of that simultaneously. I have this Muji quote that says, "You don't need any preparation to meet any human being. In any situation, the being knows how to move spontaneously, and it will be fresh, not rehearsed." So it's like, you know, just pay attention to little kids that go to the park and make friends. Those kids have not read how to make friends and influence people. There's no like education, they don't have any certificates on how to do it. It's just happening, they're expressing themselves. It's natural. And all of these other structures that I was talking about earlier, these things that we think we are, you know, all forms of ego structures, they're all premeditated. Spontaneous responses bypass the ego. It's not possible to be authentic, to be genuine without being spontaneous. Spontaneity arises immediately as the feeling is there in the body. Whenever you have any premeditated expression, it's rehearsed. It has gone through the mind. It has gone through the filters of the ego. Whether or not you are aware of it, even, there is filtering going on. There's filtering happening. We take in so much input, so much stimulus. And so I want to give some practical kind of examples and practices on how to get into this, get into your spontaneity, get into the flow. And I just want to encourage you guys to experience this, which you've all experienced before, and really witness it this time, the miracle of your spontaneous expression and how it's beyond anything that you can even conceive of, that you can premeditate about. The first thing that's important to know going into that is that this vessel, this body that you're in, is your tool to express yourself in this world. And if you're not in touch with it, then you're gonna have a big barrier between what you're feeling and how you express that to people. You're gonna have a barrier between what you're feeling and people understanding you. So number one, go into how am I feeling? Because if you're not in touch with how you're feeling, it's going to be really hard to be authentic. Suppressing a feeling doesn't make it go away. It pushes it deeper into your unconscious. It's still there. You know, when we feel something, we have something to express, we use our central nervous system and our muscles and our body to express these things. But when we don't, because somebody has told us to shut up or whatever it is, or it's not socially acceptable, we tense up. We don't allow it to come out. And in the same way that if you let your arm hang for 5 minutes or so without moving it, it will become numb. You will not be able to feel. And in the same way that that's true, other aspects of your body and your being that you are not expressing, that are suppressed, you will become numb to the feeling that's there. That's why some people, when they're going through deep tissue massage, that's why some people that are getting deep massage will start crying in the middle of the session, because that was tapped into. And I've experienced this myself with that and with cupping too. Next, number two is observing how you're breathing. Are you breathing shallow? Is it mostly up here, upper chest? Can you Relax and breathe into your belly. Feel your belly expanding and contracting as you breathe, releasing tension in the shoulders. And then you can turn this into a practice of allowing yourself to be with what you're feeling without allowing the mind to get a hold of it, specifically with negative emotions. Because the mind will grab negative emotions and create reasons for them, and it'll make it way worse. So it's okay to be with the feelings that are there and express them without having to dwell or create stories about things. And I read recently that crying is the most primitive way to release tension and pain. And, you know, that's another taboo in our culture, especially for men. It's not okay to cry, whatever. It is natural. And even if, you know, you're not okay doing that, I'm not saying to go start crying around a bunch of people or anything, but at least give yourself the freedom to have that expression, you know, in solitude somewhere. Because it is natural and we all have that. You know, just allowing yourself to express what's there without judgment of it. So number 3 is going to be movement, getting into your body. Literally, this can be as simple as stretching, doing yoga, moving around, just shaking, whatever, doing jumping jacks. The idea is just to get into your body, getting the blood flowing, getting the oxygen moving, getting connected with your body, so that when something comes up, you can express it, you know, right there, spontaneously, getting into the body. And then particularly for men, a lot of stuff, you know, is like move your hips. You know, move every part of your body. Move your shoulders, move your arms, move your hips, move everything. Get into everything, because the more that you can get blood flowing and oxygen everywhere, the more easily you're going to be able to express yourself, and express yourself confidently too. And this is something that will take time. I want to encourage everybody watching this to be persistent in the practice of these things. The practice of going in and discovering your true expression. It takes time, especially because of the social conditioning that we've been brought into. You know, whether you're watching this in the States or wherever, pretty much anywhere in the world, there is conditioning. From schools, from religious institutions, from parents. So like I said, I just want to encourage everybody to go in to themselves, to find their inner truth, and to persist through unlearning falsehoods, through your own journey of discovering your own inner truth. I also remember this other Alan Watts quote where he says, "No great genius can explain how he does it." You know, usually they'll just say, I had something in me that had to come out. And so also, as you're learning how to do this, stimulate your mind by expanding your language, expanding your ways of communicating. And that could be through learning language, through learning a different language, through learning how to dance, learning an instrument, learning how to draw, how to paint, any form of communication or expression. And then practicing the prayer of art by learning to express your inner truths, your inner feelings. I hope you guys have found something in the words that I've spoken today. Like I said earlier, if you can just give a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment below, super appreciate that. And I'm going to leave my email in the description below, so don't be afraid to shoot me a message. And also I'll have some really cool stuff on Patreon, so check that out too. That's it. Peace.